Ilara, with her hands perpetually stained by paint and charcoal, possessed a mind that danced with vibrant hues and complex forms. A brilliant artist, her canvases hummed with unspoken emotions, yet her own heart remained a delicate, exposed thing. She yearned for a connection as profound and intricate as the masterpieces she created, a love that transcended the mundane, a perfect love she had only ever glimpsed in the romanticized narratives of art history. Her past, a mosaic of fleeting affections and disheartening betrayals, had left her vulnerable, a thirst for true intimacy burning fiercely within her. Each failed relationship had chipped away at her resilience, solidifying her desperate hope for someone who truly understood the depths of her soul, someone who could paint alongside her on the canvas of life, not just admire from afar. Then Julian arrived, materializing into her world like a figure from one of her wildest dreams. He was charisma personified, his eyes holding an enigmatic depth that promised untold stories and shared secrets. From their very first encounter, he seemed to possess an uncanny ability to articulate Ilara's deepest desires, mirroring her thoughts with startling precision. He showered her with an intensity of affection she had only ever fantasized about, his words weaving a tapestry of understanding that enveloped her entirely. Their connection was intoxicating, a whirlwind romance that swept Ilara off her feet and into a dizzying orbit where Julian was the undisputed sun. Every shared glance, every whispered confession felt like destiny unfurling before her eyes. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, Ilara began to change. Her vibrant studio, once her sanctuary, saw less of her. Conversations with friends grew shorter. Her once unwavering dedication to her art began to waver. She was exhibiting all the classic signs of being love-drunk. Her world, once a sprawling landscape of creative pursuits and cherished friendships, started to shrink, revolving solely around Julian. He became her gravity, her compass, her everything, yet amidst the dizzying euphoria, subtle red flags began to unfurl. Julian's possessiveness, initially dismissed as passionate devotion, grew more pronounced. He gently, then more firmly, discouraged her from spending time with others, isolating her under the guise of wanting her all to himself. His controlling tendencies were masked by an unwavering concern for her well-being, his every suggestion framed as an act of profound love. Ilara, blinded by the dazzling light of her perfect love, rationalized every concern away, seeing only the intense affection she had craved for so long. Liam, Ilara's loyal and perceptive best friend, watched this transformation with a growing sense of unease. He had known Ilara since their awkward teenage years, had seen her through every artistic triumph and romantic heartbreak. He saw the subtle shifts in her demeanor, the way her laughter now seemed to echo Julian's approval, the way her eyes, once fiercely independent, now sought his gaze for affirmation. Liam's voice, initially gentle, grew more insistent as he expressed his concerns about Julian's influence and Ilara's rapidly changing personality. "He's too much, Ilara," Liam had pleaded one afternoon, his brow furrowed with worry. "He's consuming you." But Ilara, firmly entrenched in her love-drunk state, dismissed his warnings as jealousy, a fundamental misunderstanding of the unique and profound connection she shared with Julian. How could anyone comprehend a love so extraordinary? Then came the first tremor, a small, almost imperceptible crack in the facade of their perfect world. Julian forgot Ilara's gallery opening, an event she had poured months of her soul into. He arrived hours late, charming her family and friends with a plausible, albeit flimsy excuse, then later gaslighted Ilara into believing her expectations were unreasonable. A fleeting moment of doubt flickered in Ilara's mind, a cold whisper of unease. But Julian, with a captivating smile and a perfectly timed apology, quickly swept it away, his charm a potent antidote to her nascent fears. Her own desperate desire for the perfect love did the rest, smothering the doubt before it could take root. Julian's true intentions remained shrouded in a captivating mist, but the cracks in Ilara's seemingly perfect world were beginning to show. What secrets did Julian hold beneath his charismatic veneer, and how deep did Ilara's devotion truly run? Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Julian's control, once subtly veiled in declarations of profound love, now intensified, growing bolder and more pronounced. He began to subtly undermine Ilara's self-worth, always couching his critiques as helpful observations meant to elevate her art, yet each word chipped away at her confidence. He'd suggest her color palette was too vibrant, her brushstrokes too erratic, her themes too simplistic for true artistic merit. "My love," he would murmur, stroking her hair, "I only want to see you reach your full potential. These little adjustments will make you legendary." Ilara, desperate for his approval, for the continuation of this grand love, absorbed every insidious suggestion. Her vibrant canvases grew muted, her once expressive strokes became tentative, her artistic voice, once so clear, began to falter, echoing Julian's preferences rather than her own soul. The emotional dependency on Julian grew into an inescapable tether, binding her ever tighter, making it impossible for her to discern the truth from the carefully constructed illusion. She saw only his unwavering belief in her, failing to recognize the erosion of her very essence. Liam's attempts to reach Ilara, once gentle pleas, grew more desperate. He saw the light dimming in her eyes, the life draining from her art, and the vibrant woman he knew being systematically dismantled. One evening, after Julian had publicly belittled Ilara's latest sculpture at a small gathering, Liam confronted her, his voice raw with frustration and concern. "Ilara, he's destroying you. Can't you see what he's doing?" he implored, his hands gripping her shoulders. Ilara, her face flushed with a mixture of shame and fierce loyalty, recoiled. "You don't understand, Liam. You're just jealous of what we have," she lashed out, her words sharp and uncharacteristic. The argument escalated, fueled by Liam's anguish and Ilara's unwavering love-drunk defense of Julian. In the end, Ilara chose Julian, severing ties with her longtime friend. A friendship that had weathered countless storms. This betrayal of Liam, a man who had stood by her through thick and thin, highlighted just how deeply Ilara was entrenched in her love-drunk state. Her perception warped beyond recognition. Despite being cut off, Liam could not simply abandon his friend. A gnawing sense of dread propelled him to delve into Julian's past. A past Julian had always kept tantalizingly vague. Liam spent weeks piecing together fragments of information, digging through old social media posts, news archives, and professional forums. What he uncovered was disturbing. A pattern of short, intense relationships with other vulnerable women, each ending with the woman's artistic or financial resources mysteriously depleted, and her left emotionally shattered. Julian was not just charismatic, he was a predator, an expert manipulator who honed in on women like Ilara, women who craved profound connection. Armed with this damning evidence, Liam tried repeatedly to convey it to Ilara, sending her messages, leaving voicemails, even attempting to confront her outside her studio. But Ilara, shielded by Julian's ever-present influence and her own desperate denial, dismissed his efforts as further proof of his jealousy, refusing to even look at the evidence. Then, a significant event occurred. A hairline fracture in Ilara's carefully constructed reality. She overheard Julian speaking on the phone, his voice laced with a dismissive contempt that sent a chill down her spine. He wasn't aware she was in the adjacent room. "Honestly, she's so predictable," he scoffed into the receiver. "A few compliments about her profound art, and she's putty in my hands. The money from that last sale will keep us comfortable for months." and she'll be none the wiser. The words struck Ilara like a physical blow, shattering the delicate facade of her perfect love. Her heart pounded, a frantic drum against her ribs. The love-drunk fog, which had enveloped her for so long, began to lift slowly and painfully, revealing the stark, ugly truth lurking beneath. A wave of nausea washed over her, a sudden, blinding clarity that left her gasping for air. Later that evening, Ilara, trembling with a mixture of anger and profound hurt, confronted Julian with her doubts, the words from his phone call echoing in her mind. But Julian, a master of deception, smoothly spun a tale of misunderstanding, of a business arrangement he was trying to protect her from, of a jealous former associate trying to sabotage him. He turned her anger into guilt, her hurt into confusion, making her feel foolish for ever doubting him. He painted himself as the victim, and Ilara, still so desperately clinging to the image of their perfect love, retreated further into denial. She wanted to believe him, needed to believe him. The alternative was too devastating to contemplate. Ilara stood at a terrifying crossroads, torn between a love that felt like a dream she couldn't wake from and a growing nightmare that threatened to consume her entirely. Would she succumb completely to Julian's insidious charm, or would a shattering truth finally break through her defenses, forcing her to confront the unbearable reality? The shattering truth, long resisted, finally broke through Ilara's defenses with brutal force. Julian, emboldened by her unquestioning devotion and his own escalating arrogance, committed the ultimate betrayal. He didn't merely humiliate her. He orchestrated a public spectacle during her most anticipated gallery opening. As collectors and critics gathered, eager to witness Ilara's latest, Julian seized the moment. He stepped forward, not to praise her, but to announce, with a sneer barely concealed by a charming smile, that the entire collection, the culmination of her pain and newfound artistic voice, was in fact his concept, his vision, merely executed by her less refined hand. He even produced forged documents, subtly altered to appear legitimate, claiming intellectual property over her unique artistic style and the very techniques she had painstakingly developed. The art world, ever fickle, gasped. Ilara watched, paralyzed, as her life's work, her identity, was stolen before her very eyes. Her artistic soul ripped bare for all to see. To compound the cruelty, he had simultaneously drained her remaining savings, leaving her with nothing but the shattered fragments of her trust and a profound, echoing emptiness. The love-drunk fantasy didn't just dissipate. It imploded, leaving behind a wasteland of heartbreak, shame, and an unbearable sense of foolishness. Ilara hit emotional rock bottom. She retreated into the desolate confines of her studio, now barren of her art, which Julian had swiftly claimed. Days blurred into weeks, marked by the stale scent of dried paint and the suffocating weight of despair. Her once vibrant world had constricted to the four walls of her grief. She stared at her empty canvases, the vast white spaces mocking her lost inspiration, her stolen voice. The tears came in torrents, then dried into a constant ache behind her eyes. In the quiet agony, a chilling realization began to dawn. She had not just been a victim of Julian's manipulation, but a willing participant in her own undoing. Her desperate craving for a perfect love, her eagerness to overlook the glaring red flags, her dismissal of Liam's warnings, it all coalesced into a bitter understanding of her own vulnerabilities. The self-blame was almost as crippling as the betrayal itself. Just when the darkness threatened to consume her entirely, a tentative knock echoed through the silence. It was Liam. He didn't come with accusations or recriminations, but with a silent, steadfast presence. He simply sat with her, sharing her quiet grief, offering cups of tea and a steady shoulder. His unconditional support, his forgiveness unspoken yet profoundly felt, became the first fragile thread in Ilara's unraveling world. Slowly, painstakingly, she began the arduous process of healing. Liam, the embodiment of true friendship, helped her navigate the legal labyrinth to reclaim her art, a battle that was long and emotionally draining. As the legal proceedings unfolded, Ilara confronted her own past disappointments, the gaping emotional voids that had made her so susceptible to Julian's deceptive allure. She began to understand that her desire for love had become a desperate need, clouding her judgment and extinguishing her self-preservation instincts. The return to her art was not a sudden burst of inspiration, but a hesitant, almost fearful re-engagement. She picked up a brush, not to create beauty, but to express the raw, visceral pain that still coursed through her. Her canvases became repositories of her journey, the suffocating fog of love drunkenness, the stark realization of betrayal, the slow, arduous climb back to self. Her colors, once muted, became intensely expressive, bold strokes conveying anger, anguish, and ultimately resilience. She rebuilt her life piece by piece, focusing on self-worth, on cultivating authentic connections, and on setting firm boundaries. Her studio, once a place of artistic vulnerability, transformed into a sanctuary of strength. She had no desire for a final dramatic confrontation with Julian. Her resolution lay not in vengeance, but in her own profound healing and growth, in realizing that his existence no longer held power over her. Ilara emerged from the ashes of her shattered fantasy, not unscathed, but undeniably stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The love-drunk haze had dissolved completely, replaced by a crystal-clear understanding of healthy love, rooted in respect, trust, and mutual growth. Her art flourished, each piece a testament to her journey of overcoming, her brushstrokes now imbued with a depth and authenticity born from profound experience. She had found redemption, not in a perfect, idealized love, but in the perfect understanding of herself, in the unwavering strength of her own spirit, and in the profound, unwavering embrace of self-love.